I was incredibly impressed by how such a small, very focused conference could have so much going on and make it feel like such a tight community. I think the thing that did impress me the most was the fact that it was, from the start, it felt very community-based, and when I left, I felt like I had just made this fantastic network of colleagues. It was really neat how they worked to develop that community both on-site, through some of the team collaboration and activities that they had going on there with their Game On competition, as well as how they developed that interactivity or the networking even with the people that were online. This was the first year that they did a hybrid event, meaning those of us at GMIC's face-to-face meeting in Portland were joined by people online who weren't physically there. And the activities that they had between those two groups to keep us connected was incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it, the way the online and the on-site community actually felt like one large attendee group. But then in addition to that, there's also the community building that they did with Portland itself. So it was really fun to see how they were able to integrate tours of like the convention center, and they did a Dine Out Portland where you actually got to meet sustainable restaurateurs in the area, and they had some community activities where we actually did things to support and to help the Boys and Girls Club. So it was neat to see the community, not just the people that were in the room, but the people that were online, and even the larger community of Portland. And I thought, for me, that was like the most fantastic experience and what impressed me the most about the conference.
So it sounded like the gaming design of the conference had a lot of impact on your experience.
Absolutely. When we first attended and we learned about Game On, it sounded a little intense, and I kind of questioned in the back of my mind, how are they going to get all these people involved in this competition? And it was amazing how they were able to get all of us interacting within our groups, competing against the other groups. For me, it brought a lot of the themes and the topics that were being discussed at the conference to life, because you were actually working on a case study, you were working with others in your team, you learned a little bit more about them than you probably would have had you just gone to a conference and sat and listened to presenters. So for me, the whole gaming experience, I think, was what brought a lot of the key points of the conference back home with me.
What was the highlight of the conference for you?
For me personally, it was the fact that our team, Team Redwood, won the case study portion of the Game On competition, which was fantastic. We weren't, top in the rankings going through the week, but it was the case study, which was really the biggest portion of the game that could earn you points, and we won that. It was really, it was neat to see how over just a course of 2 or 3 days, a team of us who had never worked together were able to pull together the results of this case study and then share that with the group, and hopefully others in the group found that what we came up with was useful for them. I know there are things that I'm taking back from that specific case study and applying to our own conference here that we do annually.
That's great. It sounds like there were lots of new and dynamic things at this conference. What, other than, or maybe in addition to what you're bringing back from that case study, what did you bring back from the conference that you plan to implement here, or have you already implemented here?
Sure. It's interesting because our own annual conference is about 6 months after GMIC. So I came back from the conference all excited because there were certainly things that we could implement at our own user conference. And our user conference is about the same size as the GMIC conference, so there's a nice parallel there. So for example, we had already planned to do a gaming component to our conference, but some of the social interactivities that they had at GMIC were neat ideas that we brought into our gaming at our own Unleash conference. It was also interesting, they had exhibitors at GMIC, and I had the opportunity to meet an exhibitor with ClearTech. And less than 4 months later, we used their technology for the registration and the badges and everything that we used at our Unleash conference. So those were some things that I immediately took back and implemented within our own conference. But there are a couple things that we have on the back burner that we're looking at for our conference next year. One of them is taking our conference to a mobile platform, which they obviously had for GMIC's conference, and that was a fantastic way to keep everyone involved and a real big component of the Game On competition that they had. So we're going to go mobile. The other thing I really enjoyed was how they integrated some CSR, corporate social responsibility activities into their conference. So they had the example of, we built bikes for the Boys and Girls Club in Portland. And it was just a neat team building experience for us at the conference, but then also to see those kids come in and see the work that you've done for them. It was really a great emotional feel. It was one of those feel-good things that you leave the conference going, oh my gosh, we did more than just learn. We helped some people. And I'm really looking to bring that type of element into our own conference in 2012.
That's great. What are your final thoughts about maybe the hybrid element or the future of GMIC conference?
Well, this year I believe was the first year that GMIC did the hybrid conference, and my company Sonic Foundry actually helped do that. We provide the webcasting to put the conference online and bring the different audiences together. But I'm really excited to see what they do next year. Part of the hybrid element was a learning experience for all of us to see what could be done in bringing these different audiences together. So I'm really looking forward to see how they take it to the next level in 2012 when GMIC is in Montreal.